City News on TV Rotorua is proudly brought to you by Trade Central.
Good evening, Rotorua. Tonight on City News. Fish and Game advise of new regulations for the upcoming game bird season. St John's annual appeal funds go towards the purchase of new ambulances and equipment. And a nutritional expert's pilot study results into Māori health shows a traditional diet reverses the parameters of type 2 diabetes. Local Fish and Game are advising hunters to remember to check regional regulations for variations to species, bag limits and other changes before the game bird season starts on May the 2nd. Hunters are also reminded to check the season and bag limits for the different species. For example, Auckland and Waikato and Eastern regions will both have short seasons for grey and mallard ducks running from Saturday, May the 2nd to June the 1st, while other North Island regions' seasons will run for longer. This season also sees the unusual step of allowing hen pheasants to be targeted on opening weekend only.
This year in the Eastern region only, we've now allowed the harvesting of one hen pheasant per day on opening weekend.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
That's just to add opportunity to hunters. Our management has decided that the population can sustain that harvesting of a small amount of hen birds, and it's a trial that will run this year and see how it goes.
St John's annual appeal is taking place this week, with the funds raised going towards new equipment and the purchase of 12 state-of-the-art ambulances.
Our needs have changed tremendously since St John started in New Zealand in 1880, and we just need new equipment, modern equipment to meet the demands that we are meeting every day and to treat our patients in the best way possible. And these new ambulances are part of that. And this appeal week is to look at raising money to buy 12 of these for across the country to replace some of our older ambulances, which have really done their job now. I mean, we do 19 million miles a year, or kilometres a year, and that's a huge amount of wear and tear on a vehicle, so we need to replace them regularly.
We have the full story with details on how to donate to St John coming up later in the show. Internationally renowned nutritionist and holistic health expert Ben Warren spoke at Rotorua Girls High yesterday about how to achieve greater health and well-being. Getting back to basics and cutting out processed foods and sugar were his two biggest words of advice. His research into Māori health showed for Māori that it's about going back to a traditional diet, with the pilot study results reversing the parameters of type 2 diabetes.
And we basically did a pilot study and we reversed the parameters of type 2 diabetes in 10 weeks. So the blood work of the group improved within a 10-week window regarding reversing type 2 diabetes. So that was pretty exciting. And again, it's not rocket science. It's about eating whole natural foods that make people feel full the longest. So it's getting back to the basics. And in that group of people, I actually did my master's thesis on Maori diet, and it was moving back towards a more of a traditional type diet. And that's how we got those results, was moving Maori back to a traditional type diet. So eliminating the white bread, eliminating the white sugar, and moving back to seafood and more of a higher protein, higher fat type diet.
In sport tonight, Rotorua produced top results at the 3-day canoe slalom national champs at the National Whitewater Centre of Excellence in Shannon near Palmerston North over the long weekend. Rotorua paddlers gained great results, with Orchiddy Falls' Mike Dawson taking top honours in the K1 men's event, while Ben Gibb won the C1 men's event. Former Rotorua Olympian Luca Jones won the K1 women's title, with Orchiddy Falls' Zach Mutton making the top 10 final and winning the under-age 16 age group. Great results from our locals. To your weather update now. Tonight, periods of rain with northwest winds and an overnight low of 14. We'll have a full forecast of the weekend's weather coming up after City News, thanks to Met Service. You can access all the weather information you need at metservice.com. Don't forget, for program listings or to watch City News again, visit our website tv.rotorua.co.nz and check out our updates on our TV Rotorua Facebook page. Coming up after the break, Scion has some exciting new technology, and the One Chance Youth Project is set to fly high with their Anzac Kite Festival.
The forestry industry is the third largest export that New Zealand has to offer. We're down here at Scion today to speak with Brian Graham, who is the Scion Science Leader, about protecting what is one of the most valuable assets that New Zealand has to offer. So thank you very much for having us, Brian. Just to educate our locals, what is the core purpose of Scion?
The core purpose of Scion is prosperity from trees. And so what we're interested in is the broad spectrum of prosperity. So everything from growing better trees to better use of those products, through to community engagement and employment and things like that as well.
Hence why the drone is important. Can you tell us about the drone and what its name is?
Sure. So the drone that we're getting is called an Aeronavix Falcon. Essentially it's a next generation craft. So what we're looking to do is be able to push the limits of what these craft can do. And we're really interested in seeing how this technology can be applied to forestry. There's been a lot of interest in the hype of what a UAV can be. And we'd like to just decide and have a look and see whether or not this is a tool or whether it's going to be a toy. And so we're quite interested in applying it to our industry and seeing whether or not it'll really add benefit.
Well, I really hope that it is a tool, because it would be an expensive toy, wouldn't it?
Correct, yes. It's not something you want to be crashing out into the forest. But at the same time, it really could be very useful. This is not about something that's just kind of 5 minutes in the air. You're talking about significant areas. And so the ability to be able to test it thoroughly and make sure that it's safe, make sure that it's going to add value is important.
So what data would you gather from this drone?
So there are a few different types of data. Essentially it's got a video camera on it in the first instance, so you can think of kind of eyes in the sky, being able to look at your forest from above, through to some more specialised cameras, so getting information about the forest canopy, so the leaves and the structure of the tree, and essentially being able to take this data and to use it for things like biosecurity or forest health, through to kind of individual tree information. So is this a good tree or is it a bad tree? But really quite a broad spectrum of data that comes off of the cameras and the sensors that we put underneath the craft.
And it's more just about the tree, whether it's good or bad. It's also about what's impacting that tree, isn't it? Environmental issues?
That's right. Some of that we can pick up from the UAV. Some of it is about combining it with the UAV data. So we do collect a huge amount of information from our forest through people going through, or from aeroplanes and things over the top of it. But it's essentially this gap in between where we're quite interested in looking at whether UAVs could gather more information and then being able to combine those together to really get us a better picture, a clearer, better information about what's happening in our forest and a little bit more information about those trees.
And where did you get the inspiration for using a drone from?
So about 18 months ago, there was a group of people from across primary industry who got together to discuss UAVs. And just from a personal perspective, just interested in technology and interested in things that are new. And so as part of that get-together, we met Aeronavix and kind of decided that we would be interested in talking with them. And over about 12 months, we've established a partnership with them, looked at whether or not we would get our own craft or whether we'd use someone else's. But essentially over time came to a decision that this is the way we wanted to go. But yeah, just really interested, and as I've said, it's about whether or not this is going to be useful to the industry, and so really just testing that is kind of where the interest came from.
Now, I know this might be good for Rotorua forests, but would it be then, if it is good and if it is successful, would you look at extending that reach right through New Zealand?
Yes, absolutely. We're one of the partners that we worked with is MPI, and so MPI have strategic areas where they're working, particularly Northland is a good example. So looking at whether you can use UAVs over totara or over kauri, for example. It's not just about production forest, it's about indigenous forest as well. So I think wherever trees are in the ground, Scion would be interested in flying UAVs over them, really.
Absolutely, I can imagine that. So what sectors of Scion do you have?
There are a few different groups. I mean, we do everything to do with forestry. So everything from looking at the seeds that go into the ground, through to how we grow a better tree, through to how we harvest it, health and safety, how we deal with the wood processing sector, so making good products out of trees. And so we're split into a number of different groups, but primarily one is forest science and the other one is manufacturing and bioproducts.
Yeah. So tell me how this benefits the wider community.
So there are a number of ways that it benefits it. I mean, Scion's essential goal is prosperity from trees. And so that really filters down into everything from job creation, particularly in Rotorua with the wood processing sector, but also through to the ability of people to be in the forest. You think about our mountain biking and our community here. It really does create benefit from a wide degree of perspectives. And I think the UAV adds to that in the sense of knowing more about our forests. So, we wouldn't want forests closed because of a disease like the kauri dieback as an example. We want to be able to prevent those things. And so being able to know more about our trees, and if the UAV can help us do that, then that benefits everyone in the community.
It sure does. Well, thank you so very much for your time, Brian. It's been absolutely fascinating and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Melanie.
you.
Cheers.
Every day, St John's responds to over 1,200 call-outs. And so that works out to be about one every minute. And I'm pretty sure that you've had experience with one or someone you know has. Today I'm down here at St John's Rotorua speaking with the Lakes Area Manager. Hilary, thank you so very much for having us, Hilary.
No problem at all. It's welcome on to Rotorua Station.
Pleasure to be here. Now there's an appeal coming up, isn't there?
Yeah, this week is our appeal week. So it started on Monday and it goes through till Sunday. And this is our major appeal during the year for raising money to maintain the ambulance service.
Now, behind us here, I see a nice new bright yellow and partly green ambulance.
Yes.
Are these what the appeal is about?
Absolutely. Our needs have changed tremendously since St John started in New Zealand in 1880. And, we just need new equipment, modern equipment to meet the demands that we are meeting every day and to treat our patients in the best way possible. And these new ambulances are part of that. And this appeal week is to look at raising money to buy 12 of these for across the country to replace some of our older ambulances, which have really done their job now. I mean, we do 19 million miles a year, or kilometres a year, and that's a huge amount of wear and tear on a vehicle. So we need to replace them regularly.
I can imagine so. Going back to 1880, what was the first ambulance that ever came to New Zealand?
Well, it was a cart, basically. It was somebody laid on the back and somebody else held it at the front and ran with it. And that was basically the first ambulance. We've come a little bit further on than that now.
Absolutely. So we're moving with the times, as you have to do, because when the times move, you've got to move with them. And to have upgraded machinery like this can only benefit our locals throughout New Zealand.
Absolutely. I mean, it's got state-of-the-art equipment in terms of clinical care for patients, but it's also got a huge amount of electronics in terms of navigation, enabling us to get the jobs quicker so we understand where we're going, so we get all of the details. So when you're phoning in to the 111 number and you're giving them all the details, we're getting that in real time, and that really helps us treat you better when we get there. So that's why we need the new equipment and the new ambulances.
So that people understand the background with St John's, can you let us know how it was started?
Well, we started as part of the Order of Hospitals of St John in Jerusalem, right back in England in the era of the Crusades. And that's really where we started in assisting war injuries, and came to New Zealand in the 1880s and has grown from there as the St John Brigade. And we've been known for providing community first aid and an ambulance, charitable ambulance service right since then. Obviously things have changed quite a bit and our demands have changed. We do a lot less trauma and a lot more medical work, but the principles are still the same. We're fundamentally a volunteer-based organisation. We are a charity. We work in our local communities and we're very closely linked with our local communities.
So who are your supporters? Who's sponsoring you?
Well, the community sponsors us as a primary process. Obviously the money we raise in things like appeal weeks this week, it comes from the community. All our facilities like vehicles and buildings come from what we can raise within the community. We obviously have a corporate sponsor in terms of ASB, who provide us a whole range of services which help enable us to stay on the road. We get some money from ACC and government funding as well, but the bulk of what we do is about community and comes from the money that we raise in the community.
So what are we doing for Appeal Week?
Well, we've got street collectors out everywhere at the moment collecting money, and there's also a television campaign, as you will see, and there's lots of other organisations doing things like cupcake bakes and things like that for us. And here in Rotorua on Sunday we've got an open day here at the station, so people can come down and look at the old and the new style ambulances. They can come down and see some of the stuff we do, look at response cars. We're going to have CPR demonstrations and blood pressure checks and health checks. Lots of competitions. Teddy bear hospital for the kiddies. Bring your teddy bear down and we'll look after your teddy bear and we'll just make sure that it's okay and give it a little bit of a health check. And there'll be lots of competitions and other things going on as well. So lots of things for people to come and see, because it is all about the community and that's what we're here for, and so it's an opportunity for the community to come in and see what we do.
Absolutely, and it sounds like a fantastic day this Sunday. So can you just remind us all where you're located?
We're here on Perarika Street. You'll see the St John sign at the front, and maybe we might even have an ambulance parked out there as well just to go, we're here. So 29 to 31 Perarika Street, between 11 and 2 o'clock.
Thank you very much for your time, Hilary. There you have it, Rotorua community. Come down and meet the team down here at St John's Rotorua, and bring your teddy bear along if you think that your teddy bear needs a little bit of a checkup, but come and donate as well, because you will definitely one day, if you haven't already, need one of these in your life. Take care. Kia ora Rotorua, thank you very much for joining us, and as we are well aware, the Anzac Centennial is coming up in a few weeks on the 25th, and we're joined now by One Chance Youth Project, who have been working tirelessly on their celebration event that they're going to do. So I'm speaking now with Jordan, who is the promotions manager. Thank you for joining us, Jordan.
Thank you.
Now tell us, Jordan, why are we here standing in front of the art house today?
Today we're here to get a background on our history regarding the Anzacs, and also get a little insight on the Māori Battalion and stuff like that for our festival, and it's part of our planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so why is it important that you come down here?
It's important to get knowledge like this, especially since we're hosting a festival like the Anzac Kite Festival, and I believe it's important for all of us to have a little knowledge around this topic.
Now I know that we did an interview with you probably a few months back now, but what's changed? What's new? I see you've got a kite here in front of us.
Yes, this is our kite that one of our kite makers has made for us, and another change that we have encountered is a change in venue. The venue will now be at Ngongtaha Domain, and this was due to us respecting the aviation rules that we encountered.
Oh, very good that you're respecting aviation rules. So how many kites do you imagine will be there on the day?
150 plus kites in the air.
How's the promotions been going?
The promotion's been going good. We've had interviews with the Daily Post, the Weekender. We've also had interviews with More FM, and we're about to get our flyers out next week.
Just about to get flyers out. So have you had feedback from the public now?
Not at this point in time just yet.
Yeah, but you're planning on it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about all the kites and what do they represent?
The kites represent, we'll have some of them that represent Anzac Day. Our kite maker, Ray McCulley, he has made us a poppy kite. and we'll have some of those flying up in the air. This kite represents us, obviously, and he'll have a few more of kites up in the air on the day, so yeah.
Now, you're all very busy individuals, aren't you? You're all at high school, so tell me how much work it's, involved in having to pull this event together.
There's been a lot of work in this event, especially because we're out every Wednesday from school, and also we all decided together as a group to come in the holidays to put that extra time in, and I believe that's needed for a successful event.
Absolutely. So how many team members have you got?
At the moment we have 9 students from Girls High and Boys High, and yeah.
Yep. And you're definitely leading that promotions team. What other teams have you got?
We have management, we have venue and entertainment. Yeah.
For all our locals out there that might think to themselves, actually, you know what, my niece, nephew, cousin or grandchild would probably do well being a part of this project. How did you get involved?
I got involved by our gateway coordinator at school. We got nominated, and then we further on went to an interview with Alan Solomon, and yeah, so basically our involvement started.
And what have you learnt?
I've learnt so much so far being a part of the project, especially leadership skills, stepping up and taking lead when I have to. I've also learnt how to communicate a lot better, especially being able to communicate with people around the community, and yeah.
Made new friends?
Yes, heaps of new friends.
Okay, so just a reminder for our locals out there, what day, date and what location will you be for the Kite Festival, and what is it that you want them to do?
So this Kite Festival will be on Saturday the 25th of April at the Nongata Domain between 12 and 5. Come down and support us in commemorating the centennial of Anzac Day in World War I.
Make a kite?
Yes, you can make a kite. We'll have wind art workshops there too.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, ladies.
Cool. Thank you.
Students there from the One Chance Youth Project speaking with Melanie Groves. If you'd like to contact City News, you can phone the station on 07 3488 984 or email news@tv.rotorua.co.nz. Thanks for joining us tonight. From all the team here at City News, Ko Maria.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News on TV Rotorua was proudly brought to you by Trade Central.